Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole with Joanne and Kelly. Today is episode 46, and we are very excited to have a guest speaker. Her name is Diane Kauffman of Mermaid Cottages. As we continue our discussion about the design, marketing, and unique assets of certain vacation rental properties, we thought we'd bring your attention to a special area of the U.S. That we have both vacationed at and loved, and that is called Tybee Island. However, if we're going to talk about Tybee, we absolutely must bring your attention to these adorable cottages to rent through Mermaid Cottages. To help us tell you about this guest speaker, Diane, welcome.
Good morning.
Hey, Diane. Thanks for joining us. So I'll give you a little background as to why we love Mermaid Cottages. So years ago, I was looking for a unique place to host a sisters weekend for my two sisters that live up north, and we had decided that I would be the one in charge that year. Friends had recommended Tybee Island here in Georgia, and I started my search because I'd never been there. Actually, I don't even know if I guess I'd heard of it, but it's a little town. I'd never been there. And I found Mermaid Cottages, whose tagline is cozy cottages and happy homes. So that was just totally me. So I started to browse the website, mermaidcottages.com, and I was instantly smitten with this little cottage called the Shrimp. And it was painted like this shrimpy coral on the outside, and all the decor on the inside was like fresh white and coral and lime green and turquoise. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so perfect and so fun for my sisters and I. So welcome, Diane. We're just excited to talk to you and learn more about your business as we've been chatting about the vacation rental industry. And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am what we call an encore career person. My first 26 years of professional life was working for Marriott Hotels. Began as a banquet server, ended up as part of our corporate office. Our corporate office is based in Washington, D.C., but I was home office based in Atlanta. And had a wonderful career. Loved working for Marriott Hotels, traveled the world, had an amazing experience. 9/11 happened, and I was over in London with about 90 clients, and we couldn't get back for 2 weeks. And we get back 2 weeks later, and I call my boss up in D.C., and I say, I'm moving to a place called Tybee Island. And he said, is there an airport there? I said, yes, sir. He said, no problem. So I moved down to Tybee Island, had never
what
ever
brought
been
that
there
on?
before.
What brought that on?
Being over 9/11, being in London, stuck, and realizing how short life is. And while I loved living in Atlanta, I was there for 20-plus years. I wanted to live in a small town where I knew my neighbors and knew my friends, and my daughter had gone off to college, and it was a time for a change. So just to speed forward, I was still doing my Marriott job, literally traveling every week someplace around the world, doing sales and marketing, doing a variety of things for Marriott, and had bought a little cottage on Tybee, and I'd also bought a little investment cottage on Tybee, and was kind of as a side hustle, a side gig, was renting out the other cottage. And it was a small little bitty cottage, and it was doing very, very well, and my neighbors noticed. And they had a little cottage that they had bought as an investment cottage, and they asked me if I would help them out. So I'm like, sure, no problem. How hard can this be? So I was still working for Marriott and had back then my day timer and my cell phone, and was taking reservations over the phone no matter where I was around the world, and realized 2 years later that I could probably make this side hustle into a full-time job, but specializing in a very specific type of homes, which was the little small cottages or the little bit bigger historic houses. So as luck would have it, or as timing would have it, Marriott was going through a corporate restructuring, and the retirement package was offered. So I raised my hand
that sounds
highly,
like
and I said,
karma.
I'll take it. It was karma.
Yeah.
And was able to transfer everything I'd learned with 26 plus years with Marriott into running at the time was managing 3 little cottages. But because my brand was so specific and because I was so passionate about having only the little houses that nobody else wanted, that I knew with the right decor and color and feeling, people would want to rent.
Wow. So it's funny, I changed careers right after 9/11 too. I think that was a pivotal time for a lot of people to reevaluate their lives. So how many cottages total are there, or cottages and historic homes together?
I manage, and I don't own. For a while, I was buying and I was flipping cottages. I was buying the little old ugly houses, and with the support of a couple of really amazing people on Tybee who also had a passion for these smaller, older homes. Was taking really a ugly 1950s cinder block house, which the Shrimp was actually the place you stayed, and turned it into a adorable color-colored cottage with, again, a lot of white paint, a lot of Goodwill furniture with slipcovers, local art, and funky finds from different Goodwill stores. So I keep my homes right at 50 houses.
50. Wow. You know what? I didn't realize you had that many. So what, I know some of them are really old. Like, what's the average age?
Well, Tybee has a very large number of historic homes. We have over 125 homes on Tybee that are called a Tybee Raised Cottage. And these are actually part of the National Trust, meaning that these are historic homes, and they cannot be torn down. So besides having the homes built in the 1920s, which are these Tybee Raised Cottages, any home over 50 houses, 50 years old, is considered a historic home. That's the national standard. So a house now built in the 1950s, a cinder block, ranch-style home, is now considered historic, which means they qualify for a lot of preservation perks. But the good part is, does not mean you necessarily have to paint it white with green trim. It can be painted a color like the coral or a key lime color or a bright turquoise color.
I think that's what is so
totally unique.
Shows your brand. I mean, if someone who wants some, high-end, glitzy, condo overlooking a city, would probably not, yours is not.
This wouldn't be their gig.
But just the thought of a cozy little place, sisters, girlfriends, small family, kind of touristy town, and then just all that fun, happy furniture and colors is so, so appealing.
Did you come up with that, or is that kind of like an aesthetic that's common to that area?
There are a couple of designers on Tybee who are preservationists as well. There's actually quite a few, and there's becoming more and more and more. And a lot of people, just like at a coastal community, happy colors. You look at Seaside down on the panhandle of Florida. Seaside took a blank space in the Destin area and built these wonderful, adorable homes with all kinds of architectural details that are brand new houses. So the coastal fun colors, you look at the Caribbean, they're all over. But I think what made Tybee so unique was, first of all, we're 20 minutes from downtown Savannah. And Savannah has a 60-plus year past of historic preservation. 1955 is when Historic Savannah Foundation began with 7 ladies in pearls and stockings and heels standing in front of the Davenport House in front of a bulldozer and convincing the city of Savannah not to tear it down.
But your interiors are like crazy, colorful, cool, like
cozy,
like turquoise floors and lime green kitchen cabinets,
right. And that's part of the preservation piece. The fact that you can take an old house that is truly an old house, and paint is a very expensive renovation. Bright white paint in the interior of a small cottage is very, very easy to do. Painting Goodwill furniture bright turquoise or lime green or, a hot pink is very easy to do. So the preservation piece first needed to happen, where showing people that, and showing by example, to be honest. It wasn't me walking around saying you've got to preserve these houses. It was showing the business case that if you take these older homes that maybe are a house that could be torn down and build a large McMansion, you can make money at it. That's the other piece that I'm so proud of, is when I first began my business 15 years ago, the word cottages was certainly out there. There were a lot of cottages on Tybee, but in terms of a vacation rental perspective, which means making money or at least covering the cost of these homes, showing people that you could have a cottage a little 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom cottage that could make money. Maybe not make thousands and thousands of dollars, but could still help accomplish the owner's goal of, this was my mom's house, we're not quite ready to retire, what can we do to make some money coming in, to pay our taxes, and make it into a vacation rental. And now, if you look at the other 15 vacation rental companies on Tybee, which there are more and more every day, or the VRBOs or Airbnbs, I walk Tybee every day in my daily walk, and I am still seeing little bitty homes that are being preserved by people. I walked by a house yesterday which had been surrounded by massive trees. Someone had bought that, and it had been on the market forever. I don't even know how long it was. Someone has come along, trimmed back the trees, painted the cottage a bright white. I peeked in the windows. It was extraordinary because they're following the business model of, you can save these little houses, and mark my words, probably in 2 weeks there'll be a for rent sign, a VRBO sign in front. So what's happening now is more and more people have seen that you can make money, and the marketing for the big vacational companies on Tybee, I'm a small company, believe it or not, but there are much bigger companies managing 200 and 300 properties, and if you look in their taglines now, the word cottages is now mentioned, which is they're also are seeing that this can be done, which is wonderful.
Speaking of marketing, you do a great job of marketing Mermaid Cottages. So let me ask you, are all the pictures that you show on your website, are those from a professional photographer?
No. Instagram is from my little iPhone. I have pictures of all of our cottages, and I have I have several guests of mine who love taking pictures and have offered to come up and spend a couple days on Tybee and take pictures of a new cottage for me.
So on the website, you have, so none of the photography on your website is professional?
No, it's not. Now, professional mean that these are again, actually they're all women. These are women that have a passion for photography. So I don't want to call them professionals. They kind of know what they're doing. Like, they know what they're doing. They know the angles. They also know, because we tell them, we need a certain size picture, certain size dimension, certain angle. We want detailed pictures besides wanting to have, the wider scope. So I don't want to call them moms with their iPhones, but they are moms with their iPhones who, though, happen to have figured out how to take great pictures.
Yeah. So let's swing back. We'll come back to the marketing part, but I want to talk a little bit about the design of the cottages because, like you're saying, these small little cottages can make money, and they are. You've been successful in that regard. So, when I stayed at the Shrimp, and then I stayed another time with some girlfriends, I think we were at the Mermaid. I can't remember.
There was a Mermaid. Yes.
Yep, that's where we were. So the designs in the homes seem very comfortable and like relaxing, just like a yummy cottagey home would be. So, do you have to constantly refresh that look? Are you buying products for these homes that that have been particularly successful for longevity and durability, or do you not care? You just buy those Goodwill finds, paint them, have fun with them, slip cover them, and then refresh if you need to.
We tell our homeowners a couple of things when we're bringing on a new cottage. When our new home is being onboarded, there's a couple of parameters I give to them because a lot of people want to do it on their own, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But we give them some pretty strong suggestions. One is make sure the home feels like your beach house, that your beloved beach house, the home that you love and adore and want to welcome guests into. But that does not mean that you have hand-me-downs from your sister, your mom, old pots and pans that they don't want. So there are certain things that need to be brand new. We start out with a brand new, buying pots and pans, buy them from Costco, buy them from Sam's, buying a full set of great pots and pans. The furniture itself, we let them know. I mean, most of our homes are pet-friendly. So to be aware of the fact that if you put a sofa in this cottage that's a $3,000 sofa from Ballard's that's not slip covered, most likely come into the season, you need to have a new slip cover or a new sofa. And because we walk the house, we do a pre-arrival walkthrough for all of our visits. Because we do that, if we walk in and there are stains on that sofa from the previous guest that the housekeeper could not get out, that's where we use that to reinforce with a homeowner this is not the right kind of furniture to be using. So we give very strong suggestions on what to do, but also let them know that don't put in the house something that, if God forbid it was stolen or broken or whatever happened, you'd be heartbroken. So put things in there to make it feel homey.
Do you have some tricks of the trade? Yeah. Do you have some tricks of the trades of things that you've found that just really lasted really well, like a certain wicker or a certain, I don't know, anything?
We really recommend real wicker, real vintage wicker. And it doesn't need to be vintage. It can even be the plastic covered, indoor-outdoor wicker. But when people buy the very inexpensive wicker that doesn't hold up, it doesn't hold up. We always encourage, if you're going to do a sofa, do some sort of a slip-covered sofa. There's a couple of products out there, and I'm sure you all have great resources for that as well, on slip-covered sofas that you can buy that can be laundered, and to buy a second set of slip covers. Or if, you want to buy furniture, and there's great stuff at Goodwill. There's great stuff at thrift stores. There's wonderful furniture. Buy things that can be painted. If you've got a dark wood chair, do you reupholster the fabric in some sort of an indoor-outdoor fabric like this umbrella that might look beachy.
Okay, so
you can. Yeah.
So we know in design paint is a huge part of things. So your cottages have painted floors, cabinets, fences, and all these bright seaside colors. Do you have some favorite paint colors?
We don't. I always like either, if it's a small cottage, a bright, bright white. If it's a little bit larger cottage, I like a little bit softer white. It just kind of depends upon the size of the cottage. And also, too, remember, I'm a resource and I'm a guide, so I'm not going to tell a homeowner, you've got to paint it this specific white color. Now, if they ask me, I'll tell them. I've got a specific white, Moonlight White by Benjamin Moore, that I love. And a lot of our cottages, my own home included, is painted that white inside. We also like using high gloss paint on all the walls, every place. And high gloss,
even when it's an old home.
Yes. High gloss in a small cottage just helps the house shimmer in a lovely way.
Yeah.
So high gloss, and painters will always argue with me about that. I'll say, nope, do a high gloss. That way things get wiped down a lot easier. It just looks great. It really does.
Yeah. Do you have certain requests that you get from your guests a lot, or services or decor that, you just get big raves on?
We have guests who are always wanting to know where the art comes from. And we encourage our homeowners. Yes, I just had a request this past week. We really try and encourage our homeowners to support local artists, local or regional artists. It doesn't need to be very, very expensive art. But I will tell someone, I'd rather have one great piece of original art, again, not a $3,000 painting, but one great piece of art versus 4 or 5, tchotchkes from, Home Goods saying, gone to the beach or welcome friends. I mean, Home Goods has some great coastal things. They really do. But if you have too much of it, it looks like it all came from Home Goods, which is not the intent.
I think you're spot on about the art. Yeah, it's so important. And like you said, I remember when we rented a little condo in Oxford, Mississippi to visit my daughter, and it had this one cool piece in the kitchen, and it caught my eye on the listing, and I was like, this place is cool. And it was only because there was this one piece of art that I loved. Right. But it does make a difference. And if you look at our
website, when we take our pictures, we have detailed pictures. So we'll have homes where if there's a great piece of art or a really cool architectural detail, we'll have that as one of the pictures. So it's not just showing a living room. We're showing that above the fireplace, maybe 3 jars of shells in, blue mason jars with the old, gray lid. That's the kind of thing that people, these are not real life homes. These are fantasy homes. These are where Atlanta's our biggest market, where people come down from Atlanta who have this crazy life of being in cars constantly and having to drive their kids everywhere, to where you come to this 3-mile island, you stay in a cottage that's painted hot pink on the outside and a lime green dining room table, and you play board games and you watch TV if you want to watch junk TV for a couple days, and you go to the beach. And we are a small town, beach town.
We cannot talk about Mermaid Cottages without talking about Paula Deen. I'm not sure that most people would know that she has a townhouse there. Tell us a little bit about y'all come in and her and her little place.
Paula, maybe 7-8 years ago, bought what she thought was going to be her family getaway on Tybee. And Paula had bought a townhouse, bought it at a great price, a really basic, boring townhouse. There's a little small enclave of about 15 units. And at the time, Brandon Branch, who is Paula's designer and stylist, wonderful man, came in, and he and Paula went junk shopping. They went junk shopping all around. We went to Goodwill. Brandon did everything that we talked about doing. Paula loves to junk. Paula loves thrift stores. Now, we also put in there, well, it's great. We also, though, put in there, Paula has her own line of furniture. So it's a combination.
Oh, yeah, we know it well.
Yes. These wonderful, sumptuous beds and great linens and, all the great stuff. But when you look around Paula's house, there's pictures of Paula's family, pictures of Paula's dogs. There's an old bread container, old bread, like an old bread tin that it looks rusty, crusty. And the guests love it. We did a contest under the name. We put out to all of Paula's, fans, help us name. And then Paula looked at the top 3 finalists and chose Y'all Come In, but spelled the correct way. Now, there's 2 ways to spell y'all, and it is spelled the correct way. It's the Y apostrophe, not YA apostrophe. And Paula was very specific about that, about the South Georgia way to spell y'all, which was great. Now, the fun part is Paula she's been so busy between her work and her grandkids now and everything else. She's not out on Tybee, hardly at all. But when she's out on Tybee, she will surprise the guests. She will walk up the steps and knock on the door and surprise the guests. That's how Paula is. She's that genuine.
We've met her. She really is a cool person.
Yeah, we met her in High Point. She was hilarious.
Yeah, I love that all her cookbooks are in there. And
that's
we
awesome.
also have a Paula Deen cutout, which is a life-size Paula Deen cutout, which welcomes the guests. But the fun part is, Paula over time has lost a lot of weight. And Paula, she looks fabulous. She has for a while. But we originally had the heavier Paula. And when Paula started losing all the weight, she's like, oh, no. We need to have a new Paula. And then over time, Paula has been styled. So, we want her to look like how Paula looks now. And so our new Paula is in the home. But the old Paula could not be folded. So we had to put Paula laying down in the backseat of our car, taking her back to Paula's office. And so if people were driving by, they would see what looked like Paula Deen laying in the back of the car, stiff as a board. It was great.
That's hilarious.
But she's a wonderful woman. She really and truly is.
All right, so we don't have a whole lot more time, but I want to make sure we talk to you about how, as a small business in a small town, you have really embraced social media and done it well. So how has it really benefited the success of your business?
Social media is the only way that I market my business, with the exception of being on the Visit Tybee Island.com website where I have ads. I learned really quickly how easy social media can be from your iPhone. You can do your Facebook, you can do your Instagram, all those things. And more importantly, it lets you tell the story. It's genuine. I love it. I love the fact that I can post something and I receive immediate comments, or people will DM me with specific questions. And I've attended enough seminars, like how I met, saw you all, attended enough seminars where they teach entrepreneurs how to do social media. There are certainly people you can hire to do your social media, and I'm not saying them not to do that, but for me, I love to do the social media.
You know what I found that I thought was really cool that I bet a lot of, and maybe they do and I just never noticed, but I love the fact that you have an app, a Mermaid Cottage app, and that it has the maps and all that kind of stuff. How did you come up with that idea?
That's actually a tool through our reservation system company, which they have. And so we have 2 apps. We have an app for our guests that our guests will download. We also have our own internal app that we use to manage our business, which is, again, technology is just amazing. It truly allows me to run a pretty successful business from my living room. I'm talking to you all right now from my living room, and I'm praying my dogs don't bark because I've got 2 dogs sitting here on the sofa with me. It allows you and allows anybody with technology to run your business. Run your business from wherever you want to run your business.
Yeah, I just always thought it was amazing that when I contacted Mermaid Cottages, I talked to you, and then years later it was you again, and then I went to a conference, the Southern Sea, and it was you again, and I'm like, this girl, she runs the whole damn thing.
Well, but remember,
I'm so
too,
impressed.
this is a passion for me, but I also have a lot of Encore women working for me. The people that work for me, my core team of people, my housekeeping manager, my accounting person, my reservationist, they're all Encore women. I have stockbrokers. I have a newspaper writer from the AJC who moved to Tybee. I've got a woman from the American Legion who retired. I have women in their 50s and 60s working for me that are retired because I allow them to work from their house. They all have home offices. They can all do their jobs. And between having mobile phones that are Mermaid Cottage phones, between having laptops, and so I get to do what I love to do in my business, knowing that I've got people that are doing it for the love of hospitality, the love of welcoming people to Tybee, the love of sharing the story of Tybee.
You are amazing, Diane. You really are.
Yeah.
I mean, you have got so much knowledge and background that is so great, but we have to let people know about your community action and what you do as well, because I think that just is the icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's very important to us giving back and being involved with our community, both locally and globally. And we know that you do a lot to pay it forward in Tybee, and you can see all that on your website. And we just want to thank you for being so, so active.
Well, that's why I moved here. But I also have to say, my Atlanta days with Marriott is a very, very philanthropic organization. Mr. Marriott Sr. believes strongly in being part of a community. And his son and his grandson, his son is, Mr. Marriott Jr. is in his 80s, but the Marriott son's now running the business in their 40s. I mean, being part of that is part of what I was taught in my professional career.
Yeah.
And so moving to Tybee, wanting to be part of a small community, but also wanting to really, really get involved in things that are passionate for me. And thank you for saying that, because I want to encourage people to do that. It doesn't need to be, a 20-hour-a-week commitment to a nonprofit or some kind of volunteer work. It can be an hour a week. It can be any number of things. So thank you for saying that.
It's good biz. So we've got to wrap it up, but we want everybody to just take a moment and go to mermaidcottages.com, and you can find all the social media links right there on the homepage, and really take a look at Mermaid Cottages. If you're not, even if you think you'll never make it to Tybee Island, check out how Diane runs her business, and I think that any vacation rental owner can learn a lot. And anybody really in our design world, we have a lot of enthusiasts that listen to us, can look at these cottages and get great design ideas.
And the videos, I think having the videos really helps as well, because pictures can tell you a lot, but the video makes you feel like you're kind of in the place and gives you a really good idea of the whole space.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Diane, at the end of every podcast, we end with a funny quote and an inspirational quote. So hang on with us, and we'll go through these, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody. But which one you want to do?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay, you do the funny one.
Okay.
I'm already laughing.
Speak to yourself the same way you speak to a slice of pizza. You are so flawless, so stunning. The world is a better place with you in it.
That is definitely how I talk to my pizza.
I think you created that quote.
I know.
You didn't copy it from somewhere. You came up with it.
It's one of my favorite foods. Okay, here's the inspirational quote that we're leaving you all with today. I think one of my favorite feelings is laughing with someone and realizing halfway through how much you enjoy them and their existence.
Were you thinking of me?
I really was.
You were thinking of me.
No, I really was. But does it ever happen to you?
Oh my God,
where you're
absolutely.
You're totally laughing with somebody, and in the back of your head, you're going, I like you so much. I just had this epiphany that you're so awesome.
Or when you laugh so hard, you can't breathe. I have a video of Kelly and I. We were in High Point, and we were just slap happy, tired, and we had gotten back to our room, and there was something stupid that happened that caught us as funny. We literally, Kelly had thrown herself on the bed. We were laughing so hard, in pain. It's the greatest feeling in the entire world.
So good. So anyway, Diane, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. We really appreciate it.
And I'm
honored.
I feel so inspired. I feel so inspired by where you've come from and what you've done and how you've made it all work. And I think life does come around full circle. I think jobs that you have when you start out, you may not quite understand why you're doing what you're doing, and then something happens, and all that experience and all those things that you learned,
are so right.
Yeah, come back around.
That's very, very, very true.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening, and we will talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.